Hello world, how are we doing? Hello and welcome to Talking Songs with me, Roland Jones. How are we all doing out there? It feels like winter to me. I have to say, I'm not keen on rain. Don't think I'm being cold. But when it's damp and soggy, it's not very pleasant, and it certainly has been soggy in Manchester recently. What have I been up to? Oh, done a few gigs. I hope you players out there have been doing some gigs as well. Things seem to be picking up generally around the place. We just hope it'll, as long as we still carry on being careful. I think we have to be a little bit cautious of this COVID thing because I think it's going to be around a long time. But enough of doom and gloom. And for a moment, let's go on and have a bit of music. My guest tonight is Richard Knott, and bizarrely, one of the people that we were chatting about the other day was somebody that I've been mentioning for some years now, and very, very few people seem to know who it is, and that's Leon Redbone. And so on the basis of that conversation, I thought tonight I'd play this song that I wrote. And I wrote this in the sometime in the 80s, I think, after I'd heard an album called Branch to Branch by Mr. Leon Redbone, the great late, or the late great. The late great, yeah. So this was inspired by that man, and this is called Am I Feeling Blue? It's early in the morning, the sun is already hot. There's fresh food in the kitchen, and the coffee pot is hot. So why am I feeling blue? No clouds on the horizon, I got money in the bank. My car is sitting pretty, there's gasoline in the tank. So why am I feeling blue? My baby's gone and left me, not for another man. She says she wants to travel, she does not give a damn. She saw me this morning, I said, I don't know what to say. She said, say what you want, honey, I'm gonna leave you anyway. So I leave her food in the kitchen, the coffee in the pot. I'll take off in my Cadillac, 'cause believe it or not, my baby's gone cold on me, but her sister has not. There are big fish in the river, there's grapes upon the vine. Last night we had a party, had a real good time. So why am I feeling blue? My baby's gonna left me, not for another man. She said she wants to travel, does not give a damn. She told me this morning, I said, I don't know what to say. She said, say what you want, my honey, 'cause I'm gonna leave you anyway. So I'll leave the food in the kitchen, I'll leave the coffee in the pot. I'll take off in my Cadillac, 'cause believe it or not, my baby's gone cold on me, but her sister has not. She has not. My baby's gone cold on me, but her sister has not. The great Leon Redbone. What a man he was. Yeah, do check him out. I've been going on about him for some years now, and he was something special. So, talking of something special, we now go over to my guest for this evening, who is Mr. Richard Knott. Richard, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you doing? I'm fine, thanks.
Good. Well, you are fine, but you're not, and maybe we should explain a little to the audience. Richard's been he's clearly a star performer in the beautiful game, but unfortunately was hard tackled by your grandson. Is that right? Was it?
Something like that. Yeah, I suffered a leg injury. I won't go into the details, but yeah, I hurt my leg and I had to have surgery, and I'm now in what's quite a lengthy period of recovery and rehabilitation and learning to walk again, basically.
But unfortunately, this means that Richard cannot play the guitar this evening. So we've changed the rules for Richard. So we're going to be playing some material in from previous recordings. So Richard Knotton's songs. In where did it all start?
Oh well, I've always loved music, and I started playing the guitar. Well, I first got a guitar when I was about 8, I think, but I started learning when I was 15, and I just spent years playing fingerstyle guitar, instrumental stuff. Because I never sang. I mean, the last time I remembered singing was auditioning for the school choir when I was 11 and failing. So, I never
salutary.
Yeah, I never thought to sing, and I just enjoyed playing the guitar for my own amusement, really. And then 2005, I went to a guitar camp in America. Woody Mann, who's a great guitar player, used to co-run a guitar camp, and it was at Columbia University in New York, and I went to that. It lasted a week. It was just incredible, really. And they had a student concert at the end of the week, and I thought, well, this is it now. I'm gonna this will be my performing debut, because previously I just played at home. I couldn't perform for anybody, you know. I just go to pieces. So I decided to have a go in this student concert, and sure enough, I did go to pieces, but it wasn't too bad. It was all right. It was a supportive audience, and that experience just opened things up for me. I started writing instrumental stuff. I started going to a couple of music groups, guitar groups, general music groups, and just playing in front of people, just to get used to the pressure of playing in front of others, which I don't know if you remember it. I mean, you've been playing longer than I have, I think, in public. But
yes, but I think the pressure's always there. I mean, I always quote the thing about Bruce Forsyth when he was doing the Sunday night at the London Palladium. He was incredibly successful. He was already there. He was still a young man, but he was incredibly successful. And he said that every Sunday when he did it, as they announced him, he threw up into a bucket off stage, wiped his mouth, and went on. And he did it right. Apparently, that was his routine.
It's not been quite that bad for me, but there's definitely something about being on stage. What I've found is it made me play faster, much faster than I.
Oh God, yes.
And sometimes you can't quite control your hands if you're playing guitar, and also if you're playing through a PA and the sound isn't great on stage, it's really difficult. So I did that for 2 or 3 years, playing instrumental stuff, and I wrote a couple of instrumental things which I thought were pretty decent. And then I started another one, and I thought, well, I like the tune, but it's perhaps not quite strong enough to stand up as an instrumental. So I decided, still don't quite know why, to put some words to it. No intention really of performing it or singing it at all. But when I'd written it, I thought, well, I better play it at this guitar club I was going to, and it went down pretty well. And someone suggested I entered a songwriting competition they knew about, and I thought, okay, I will, and I did, and I won it. I mean, it was just ridiculous. It was like a bolt of lightning. I thought, this is crazy, and I remember playing it at the songwriting competition and making a hash of it as well, because you think, because that's how it was when I started it. Virtually every performance there was something I wasn't happy about in it, but anyway, so I did win it, and of course that then you think, well, I think everyone needs a bit of validation, don't they? Whether it's
absolutely
liking it, or in this case, judges in this competition liking it. And there was some of the songs I really liked. Other people did. I didn't think I had a chance. So that's what started it really, and that was probably 2007.
Right.
And then we were talking the other day, weren't we? When do you feel you can call yourself a songwriter, if at all? Yeah. And you certainly can't after you've written one song.
No.
I remember thinking at the time, well, I wonder if I can do another one, and then another one, and another one, and by the time I got up to half a dozen, I thought, I think I'm getting something
songs.
behind it, and I was really enjoying it.
Yeah.
So I just carried on, and the rest is history. No, it isn't history. But I mean, I haven't written anything for quite a long time, to be honest. To be fair, so I found this whole pandemic thing has really, I don't know, it suppressed my enthusiasm for lots of things.
I think I'd agree with you totally on that, and a lot of the people that I've spoken to in this context have said exactly the same. Quite a few haven't said it on air because they didn't feel confident enough to say it, but many people have said that it's got to the point where there is so much space that procrastination is no problem anymore, because tomorrow, the day after, in next week, it doesn't really matter, because there is no there's no tension, there's no incentive to finish a lot of things.
No, and I have a friend who's doing some sort of living room concerts during lockdown.
Oh, right.
And he did it really, he got some guy in to do the sound. He had multiple cameras and stuff. And he knows people all over the world, and he was getting a big audience, hundreds of people. He said the weirdest thing was he'd finish a song and there's just silence.
Yeah.
There's no feedback at all. And I think it put him off. There's something about performing in front of people and getting a reaction that you can't really replace.
I think that's one of the reasons I've enjoyed doing this, to be honest, because at least, I can react to what you're doing. So at least there's somebody there in front of you. Yeah. But also I feel it's kept me sane to a great extent. But I have done some solo things online, and even if you're playing in a pub and nobody's paying any attention, you've got people around you. And even that is better than being in a room on your own, just sort of staring at a screen at yourself.
Anyone who's seen me do podcasts and interviews and stuff, I tend to say the same stuff every time. So apologies to anyone who's tuning in who's heard me before. But the difference between playing instrumental stuff and playing songs is you can play instrumental stuff for your own amusement, for your own enjoyment.
Yes.
The challenge of working a piece up.
Yeah.
Making it sound nice, maybe recording yourself so you can hear it. But it's just something that's really good to do just for yourself, as a way of relaxing from work or whatever it is.
Yeah.
As soon as you write a song, there's no point in it existing unless it's going to be performed to someone. It's got to be heard.
You're absolutely
Otherwise,
right.
It's pointless.
Yeah.
I really feel that really strongly. And so I think that's why I've not been tempted to write stuff during
You've
lockdown.
just explained something to me there, that there was a guy that I was at university with who played a mean Telecaster, and he was a good player. And we weren't particularly close friends, but we sort of kept bumping into each other. And after some time, I said to him, "Do you still play?" And he said, yeah, but just for himself. And he'd switched over to playing classical guitar. And I said, "Do you do any gigs?" He said, "No." And there was no sense of, "Yes, but I miss it." Or there was just like, "Yeah, I'm happy doing it." And what you've just said there sort of sums it up, really, isn't it? That you've got that ability to sit on your own and work something out. And once you've worked it out, then you get a sense of satisfaction, whereas a song needs to be put out there, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I even, without realizing it, I wrote a song called Man of Few Words, which
yes,
first time I performed it, someone in the audience, I said it's called Man of Few Words, and someone shouted out, "Well, shouldn't it be an instrumental then?" But it commits what I think of as the cardinal sin of songwriting, in that it refers to the process of songwriting. It's a song about songwriting. It's not really about songwriting, but it refers to it. Yeah. And there's a line in there: "Even the most perfect words of love, if never heard, are not complete." And I just think that's, songwriting is about communication.
Yeah.
Whereas guitar playing can be about, an intellectual challenge that you just enjoy for yourself.
Yeah, a physical challenge.
But songwriting, it's got to be heard. So
that,
I think, it kind of steers the way I think about songwriting, because some of my songs are throwaway. Quite a lot of my songs have bits of jokes in them, or what I think of as witty lines, But they're always meant to be serving a purpose. And the test for me when I've written something is, well, why does this song need to exist? I don't mean it needs to have some great significant meaning. I've solved the mystery of life, and here it is in 4 minutes.
32
but,
bars.
But I kind of think, well, even if it's just a throwaway joke song, It's got a reason to exist because people will smile or laugh at it. You know? And I always think when that's the test, when I think I finished it, you know, does it have a reason to exist, and have I honed it as well as I could do? There's a great saying attributed to, I think, Leonardo da Vinci, which is art is never completed, only abandoned. And I'm not suggesting that, you know, my songs are art, but I think you could apply it to any creative endeavor, really. There comes a point you just say, well, I could keep tweaking it forever. Yeah, I might get some very marginal improvements, but there comes a point where you just have to say it's finished.
I think this is one of the big issues with home recording, and these days, you know, we've
tell me about it.
You know, you can. I mean, apart from the last album that I did, which was recorded live, although I've got plenty of gear here, and you know, probably enough to open a small shop. I've always gone into a studio to record because it gives me that discipline, and also gives me another pair of ears to help me out with it as well. I think it's because otherwise we're always fettling. And it was Kurt Vonnegut who said the road to hell is paved with work in progress, which I thought was a great expression. Struck with genius, I feel.
Well, see, some people write a song and then they test it on an audience, don't they? And,
yes.
See how that goes. I tend not to do that. I tend to think, well, I'm not going to unleash it till I think it's as good as it can be. And maybe I'll never unleash it because maybe I'll never be quite happy with it. But other things, I might go back, you know, 5 years afterwards, after loads of times of playing it, and think, I'm going to change a line in that song. I never liked that particular line.
Do you find that they sometimes just sort of morph a bit as you're going along? That your phrasing will change?
Yeah, I definitely. And I think the arrangements can change a little bit as well. You can decide, you know, I'll chuck a bit of instrumental in here, or I'll just extend this line by a few bars, instrumental stuff. And yeah, I think phrasing is a really important part of songwriting that no one ever talks about in the, you know, how to write a songbooks or whatever. It's incredibly important that you can make it sound like a conversation to me. You've got to be able to vocalize it in a way that sounds natural. I really don't like lyrics that sound forced or artificial, or where someone squeezed a word in that didn't quite fit. And I mean, I'm not one who counts I do count syllables quite often, but I don't count every syllable and say, well, that's too many.
Right.
It sounds right, but I do think there are sort of sins against natural speech, which you can't. Sometimes you can get away with it, but not always.
I agree with you. So, I mean, I think I've mentioned this before. Is Robert Cray, who was a very fine songwriter and fine performer. One of his albums, the title track is called "Bad Influence." But when he sings the line in the chorus, he sings "Bad Influence, Baby."
All right.
And I think that's unforgivable, frankly. I think that's my other pet hit is the Serengeti line, but I won't go there again.
Oh yeah.
And I'm pleased to say that a lot of people agree with me on that one. So I've just got a few comments coming here from people. What have we got here? Hello from Monologue John Barkley. Hello from Emma Black. And Kevin Farrell. I told him that I had you on the show, and he said, "Oh yeah," and he's put here, tried and tested at Healy Dell Tea Rooms.
Oh yeah, I played there a few times. Yeah, cocked up there a few times, definitely. I remember once completely forgetting the chords to one of the songs I'd perform most often. It happens, doesn't it? I mean,
it does.
You just have to work through it.
Yeah, it's because when I mentioned that was the first thing Kevin was telling me about Healy Dell. Which is a lovely name. I do like that. So
yeah, it's a little country park I think it's north of Rochdale.
Yep.
And he and Darren Poisey used to put on this.
That's right. Yeah.
Open mic thing.
Yeah.
I've travelled all over the place to open mic. When I was trying to sort of learn the art of performing, you know, you just got to get out and do it as much as possible.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you're not going to be performing tonight, but which is going to be the first song you want to tell us about before we play it?
We got a choice. Okay.
Well, whichever order you want.
Right. Well, let's go for Easy Street, shall we?
Okay.
Shall I talk a bit about that?
Yeah, go on.
This was actually the second song I wrote. I was mentioned the one that won the competition. And this one, I remember sitting on the beach and it was really hot, and I think I had the music first, and I started writing these words, which weren't. I didn't know where it was going at all. This song, which is sometimes a good thing. You know, you just have to let the creative process take place. And then when I decided where it was going, it just seemed obvious. And I don't know if you remember it. I'm a big fan of The Sopranos, the TV series. Yeah. And there was another TV series called Desperate Housewives.
Right.
Used to watch occasionally. And someone once said to me, this song is Desperate Housewives meets The Sopranos. So make of that what you will when you've heard the song.
Ah, right. Yes, that explains one of the lines in it then about my best friend under the pillow.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's give it a whirl then. Let's see. Now, we've not done a show like this before, so I just hope this all functions properly.
Sun's beating down, the pavement's burning hot. I don't need nothing that I ain't already got. Welcome to my neighborhood, here on Easy Street. My wife is well dressed and my kids are well behaved. My lawn is well trimmed, my patio's well paved. Welcome to my neighborhood, here on Easy Street. All of my neighbors want to be like me. They see a man at the top of the tree, 3 cars at the front and a pool in the back. When it comes to keeping up, I'm the leader of the pack. Got a cold beer in my hand, got a baby on my knee. I'm just as lucky as any man could be. Welcome to my neighborhood, here on Easy Street. Here in the small town, folks got nothing on their mind. They leave the day job and the city far behind, but not so far away there are questions being asked. Old friends are trying to track me down to catch up on the past. Now my intruder system set my electric gates a lot, and underneath my pillow is the one true friend I've got. Welcome to my neighborhood, here on Easy Street. The night is closing in on my neat suburban spot. The neighbors hear a car backfire, it sounds just like a shot. I don't need nothing, but I'm keeping what I've got on Easy Street.
Great. Yeah, thanks to Elaine Page from Elaine Page, is that?
I thought it was
Elaine. Let's say Elaine Savage, not Elaine Page, not for the video there. Sorry, Elaine, got a little bit carried away there. Yes, recorded at Semitone in Marble. Yes,
Indeed.
Great venue, isn't it?
Oh, isn't it lovely? Yeah.
It's so sweet, and it's a lovely audience, and they listen.
Yeah, they do. It's great. I think I played there 3 times, and it's. I mean, some of the video, everything gets video, doesn't it? Elaine
Yes.
video.
Yeah.
everything. But the nice thing is she gives you a choice of what goes on YouTube. You don't have to watch something that you think, why is that there? You know. So yeah, it's a lovely little venue. Yeah,
yeah, it is. It's cracking. Yeah, I can't wait to get back. So. And one of the things I've noticed listening to your songs, you were saying before, when we were just chatting earlier, you said about decide to leave an extra bit of instrumental in something. And I noticed in some of your songs, in some of the way you've written them, as in that case, there's a point where traditionally the change would come straight into the next line, but you leave like an extra bar on the previous chord before you pick it up.
Do I? I've not thought of it in that way. I mean,
that's quite interesting.
I think when I'm writing a song, I think about the structure fairly early on. You know, I don't, because often you'll write a verse and it turns out that's really the last verse. You know, what you've written is but I think you know, the listener's ear wants to hear certain things. There's a reason why a chorus gets played more than once in a song. There's a reason why you have a bridge. You know, and there's a reason. I put a lot of time into things like introductions and outros as well. You know, how does the song end, and how does it start? Because I think the whole thing's like filmmakers have this narrative arc, don't they? Where you know you could draw it on a graph almost, and this makes it sound very probably more structured than it is in the real world, and it's not quite as cold as that either. It's like an organic process, but you're trying to make this thing as well-rounded as you can and as satisfying as you can, both to you and to the listener. So the worst thing for me is editing. You know, you've before you know it, you've written 6 verses and it's a 6-7 minute song, and you think, well, that's no good. I've got to cut that down. Yeah. But every verse has got a line in that you really like, you know. So you've got to then think, well, how can I cut this up and chop it about? So that's where I think the craft comes into it. You've got the raw material, the inspiration, if there was inspiration, has done the job, you know. And what you've got to do now is hone it until basically it says the maximum it can say in the least amount of time and the least number of words. Unless it's a song that kind of celebrates using lots and lots of words. And I've got the odd song like that goes on a bit, but it's, you know, it's deliberately done. It's not, none of it happens by accident for me. I spend forever on words. I really do.
Me too. I mean, there are occasions, as you say, when you have lots and lots of words, like sort of list type songs. Yeah. Where you have a structure of a sentence, which you then repeat with variations on it, that type of thing, which matters. But what I was meaning before was that. If you imagine that you've got a song and you're going da 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 da, so that's where your change is going to be. There are certain points in your songs where you go da 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 da.
All right. Well, I think
if you know what I mean, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but for me it's quite unusual because you're not you're strict tempo, but you're not strict in terms of. It's not like you're restricted by traditional structures in that.
No, sense. I'm very strict on tempo, but that
absolutely and metronomic.
Well, but I think that and what you're talking about probably comes from the fact that I was a guitar player long before I was a songwriter.
Yes.
And you know, most of the songs start as guitar parts. You know, they start with a chord sequence or a finger picking pattern. Not pattern. I don't tend to play in patterns or such, but you know, some sort of thing. One of the songs which has got like a riff in it. It's a riff-based song. Pretty simple structurally, just lots of verses, nothing else, but it's all based around a riff. And it's because they come from guitar playing. You know, I think I've only once written a load of words and then written music afterwards. Normally they start on the guitar.
Yeah.
And the guitar playing all comes out of chords. I mean, I said to you before, I can't play lead guitar, save my life. I can finger pick some fancy stuff, but most of it is based on chords. And after doing the first, 12 chords, the majors and a few minors that you learn when you're starting to play, when you get into the extended stuff, and you're playing additional notes or you're missing notes out, and you're playing like 13 chords or minor 11s or whatever, as we were saying before, then you think there's a whole world there that just goes beyond G, C, and D.
Yes.
and when you start finger picking and adding those notes and taking those notes out, it tends to suggest the structure to me.
Yeah, no,
So,
that makes sense.
I tend to think, well, this is where the line has to end now. But I suppose it varies. I'll have to think now. I have to go through various songs and think about what you said, because I've never thought of it. It's never really struck me before. But I suspect it's because they do come from the guitar.
That would make sense. That would explain it. Yeah. I mean, so you didn't start actually writing songs until relatively recently.
No, it's pretty old already.
Well, to be honest, I mean, apart from that one that I did tonight, I didn't seriously start writing songs until 2007.
Yeah, right.
And I've been playing in. I'd kind of like co-written stuff, as part of a band, and what I once described as co-assembling a song where I did the music and somebody else did the lyrics.
Right, yeah.
But I'd never seriously sat down and written a song, really. I think the first thing was Never Been to Memphis, which was 2006, 7.
And had you been to Memphis at that point?
No, I hadn't. No, I hadn't.
Honestly,
you were saying about when people shout if it's a man of few words, shouldn't it be an instrumental? There was a friend of mine who, whenever I did Never Been to Memphis, would shout "liar" at the end of the first verse. Yeah.
But that's an interesting thing, actually, about do they have to be true? No, they don't have to be true. A lot of my songs are story songs, and Easy Street is just, it's totally a work of fiction.
Absolutely.
I hope is obvious. But the thing about someone like Randy Newman, who assumes any number of different characters in his songs. He's a slave trader, he's a dirty old man, he's God. In different songs, and as long as they're not pretentious. Yeah. I mean, I hate pretension. It just you've got to sort of be true to what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So you've got to be comfortable doing it. And I don't. Although guitar style that I do is kind of country blues ragtime based.
Yeah.
With some jazzy stuff thrown in, but I don't cover. I mean, I do a few. We talked about this the other day, didn't we? We don't call them covers; we call them interpretations. But
yeah, absolutely.
I couldn't do a Robert Johnson song. I just wouldn't feel comfortable doing it. I know people who can do it, particularly people who are good singers who can do it and get away, well, not even get away with it, make a really good job of it. I just don't feel that's something that I can do and be true to myself, really.
Yeah.
So one of the songs that we might play is a song written in a sort of a bluesy style. It's the riff-based song I was talking about. And it's written in not so much in a blues-based style, but lyrically perhaps in a blues-based style. But I'm not going to sing a song about how tough it is being a black man in Mississippi in 1930. It's just crazy.
No, it wouldn't make sense, would it?
Not to me. Yeah.
Again, coming back to Robert Cray, I mean, he was in. I read an interview with him when he was saying, somebody asked him the same question. He said, you're a successful musician, you're world famous, you've got the world at your feet. How can you be writing the blues? And he said, well, I have an alter ego. And he kind of writes from this, not for all his songs, but for some of the time, he works in a situation where he imagines that situation.
Right.
And the other thing is, I mean, I think it's in Alan Lomax's book, he talks about the fact that quite often in the original blues songs, the, my woman done treated me badly type thing wasn't actually about relationships. It was more about the relationship between the person and their owner as a slave. But they couldn't say that because they knew they'd be punished for doing it. So they reinterpreted it in a different way. So even those are fictional to a certain extent.
Yeah. I mean, what people tend to think of the blues as being music of oppressed people, and they did it to cheer themselves up. And in fact, Robert Johnson was a pop star, basically.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, they were playing dances. They were playing the same tunes other people were playing, the hits of the day.
Yeah, and they were very much for that, as you say.
They didn't have terribly tough lives, because obviously a lot of them did. But I just think I love that music. I absolutely love it. But I can't pretend to do that. But just one of the things that I learned when I started playing in front of people, especially doing my own songs, was that the songs are very personal, aren't they? You know, it's you've created it, and you've got to have to deliver it. But to deliver it, you've got to become a slightly larger than life persona. If you're going to be on stage and people are watching you, you can't just play song after song after song. You know, and there's no point in explaining every song in it, you know, and hope you get the purpose of this song. You know, you can hint at it a bit.
It's not a lecture, is it?
No, it's no. So you've got to be both this sort of slightly artificial version of yourself who can put this stuff across, but at the same time you're putting across some things which are quite intimate to you and very personal. And it's the whole, you know, it's a long way from sitting in your bedroom playing an instrumental guitar, that's for sure.
Yes, I've got a comment here from Kevin. Kev said, knowing when a song needs to breathe is a great skill. I think Richard does it very well indeed. He says, there you go.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah. It's. I mean, I think, as I say, editing is the hard part sometimes, and I do like songs that you know, 3 verses and they're finished. I think if you can get it boiled down to that, it's a shame actually that one of the videos that was hoping we'd be able to use, and we can't for various reasons, was Man of Few Words, because that's 3 verses,
right?
And I'm you know, that's a song that it's still quite a long song because there's an instrumental bit in the middle, but that's a song I'm really quite proud of in a way.
Well, just to say then, we've got this here, so people can find. Can they find? Is that on your website? That particular one?
There is a video of Man of Few Words. If you search for it, you'll find it. It's Acoustic Roots in Wigan. It's in a church gig. But yeah, right. it's on YouTube. Yeah. Whether it's on my website, I can't remember, but it's on YouTube.
I think I've seen it there. Okay then. So what song should we talk about now then?
Well, why don't we have the one I was talking about, the riff-based song, which is called "Take Me to the Doctor."
Right. Okay.
And this is the first time this has ever been seen, because this isn't on YouTube. It was on my phone. That was the only place it existed until this week when I sent it to you.
Yeah.
And this is me playing with 2 guys who are a duo called the Hewers. And I met Ian, who is playing bass on this track. It was the sound guy to a series of gigs in Wigan called Acoustic Roots, where Man of Few Words is filmed. Yeah. But he's in a duo called the Hewers with a guy called Phil, and they demonstrate high-end Bose PA equipment at guitar shows. So people go when the days when guitar shows were able to take place, if people went to them and they see a duo playing through Bose, they're the Hewers, and they're both multi-instrumentalists, fantastic harmony vocalists.
Right.
And we did a joint gig, and they joined me for this song. Phil's playing guitar and Ian's playing bass, and it's a bit of a shame that the live sound on the night didn't quite bring Phil's guitar out as well as I would have liked, because he was playing some fantastic stuff. But this is just a riff-based song. It's just verse after verse after verse. It's written in a kind of a blues style in a way. It's picking up on the theme of lots of blues songs where there's this line, "I asked for water, she gave me gasoline." You've heard that.
Yes.
Line, I'm sure. And it's kind of something like along those lines. So it's a bit in a bluesy style, but I'm not pretending to be someone working in the fields. But it's riff based. And when we just rehearsed this, I think once before we played it on stage, and I recorded us rehearsing it, and I thought, blimey, it sounds like J.J. Cale, this. I mean, you know, and I love J.J. Cale. So I thought, this is fantastic. I don't think the sound quite gives you that impression on this video, but hopefully some of it will come across.
We'll leave it to people's imagination. Okay, so this is it. Here we go.
Take me to the doctor, baby, I don't feel so good. My insides ain't working like they should. This is no indigestion, and despite what you might think, well, let me tell you, I ain't even had that much to drink. Take me to the hospital, I feel I'm fading fast. Don't know how much longer I can last. Put me in intensive care, hook me to those drips, my days are numbered. I'm hanging in here by my fingertips. Take me to the notary, I've got to make my will. Think I'm just about in sound mind still. No need to gather family round to find out what they'll get, that's all I'm leaving. This old guitar and one whole mess of debt. Rights. I'll make amends for all those crazy nights. Yes, I've been a sinner, but maybe it's not too late to save my soul. Persuade the Lord that I'll be worth the wait. To the undertaker, book that big black purse. Prove my life is going from bad to worse. Let me choose the hymns they'll sing while paying due respect. Don't want nobody using all my whiskey to get wrecked. Honey, lay me down to rest, but let me get this one thing off my chest. If my final meal was what you cooked for me last night after we argued, well, that was one smart way to end a fight. But something sure as hell didn't taste right.
Nice. Yeah. So, yeah, see, that's another theme, isn't it? The doctor. I don't need no doctor. Take me to the doctor. That crops up quite a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. And one of the other things about both the songs we've played so far is that they're both songs that have kind of got a reveal in. If you listen to the lyrics, you know, they're telling a story, and then there's a, I mean, you might call it a punchline, I suppose, if you think of them as
well, in fact, yeah, I mean,
there's a point that gets revealed at the end.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's the same, the one I did at the beginning. My baby don't love me no more, but I know her sister will, which is a sort of rehash of what was sung in Red House, and what's the other one? You know, that's, you know, either her sister, or I know her mother will, all those sort of turnarounds which happen all. But again, I think it proves the point of what you were saying, that in the old blues, they were entertainers as much as anything. You know, they weren't bemoaning the situation.
also there were not that many songs really. You hear the same lyric come round in, like what is it? If the river was whiskey and I was a diving
duck,
I'd dive to the bottom and I'd never come up. That's in dozens of songs. That line.
Throw your arms around me like a circle around the sun.
Yeah,
that's another one that crops up all the time.
Certainly,
I woke up this morning.
There's nothing new, really, is there? I mean, everyone is the result of the influences that they've taken in over the years. And we were talking the other day, weren't we, about how we both love Steely Dan?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And so, as soon as I learned that Steely Dan used a particular chord a lot, I started throwing it into songs. Not because I'm not trying to sound like Steely Dan, that would be ridiculous, but the sort of chord that you think, well, I didn't expect that here, I didn't expect that to be in the middle of this otherwise relatively straightforward song. And sometimes it might be you're changing key for one line of the song without really thinking about it, because I don't think of them in those terms anyway. I just tend to go with where my ear takes me.
Yes.
But I think, I did learn a bit about music theory and particularly about tension and resolution and circle of fifths and this kind of stuff, because it does help you when you're writing songs, I think, to think, well, this would be a logical chord to come up next.
Yeah.
So if I don't want to use that logical chord, what chord could I use that suggests it or is close to it or could lead to it or, be an altered version of it? I think I'm all for doing stuff by feel and by instinct, but with music, especially with guitar, because people learn to play guitar by looking at chord diagrams typically, and they build up a bit of a sort of vocabulary of chords. But it's really helpful to understand why some chords go well together.
Yes, why you're using those three together.
How you can create a jarring effect, or how you can have a sweetness followed by a sort of darker sound. Just basic stuff. You don't need to, do a doctorate in music to get that. You just need to. You need to find a source of information that isn't like a 28-minute YouTube video where someone rabbits on forever. That's the trouble, of course. When I was learning, I had the John Pierce book, Hold Down the Chord, which was a TV series and an LP record and a book, and that's where I started learning. Nowadays, everything's on YouTube. You can learn about anything if you've got the patience, but you've got to find the people who can teach, not just who can play. And
good teachers and good. Oh God, yes, yeah. It's torturous sometimes, and I have to say, I occasionally do look at them, but I look for the. I'm a big fan of Billy Gibbons. I think Billy Gibbons is a wonderful guitar player, and I will watch anything that's got Billy Gibbons in it. But there's some of the people who do this sort of instructional videos, and they just drone on uncontrollably, which life's too short.
It is true that everything's there, and if you've got the patience to find it, and if you can work out what's important and what's not, that's great. But I used to play guitar from guitar tablature, which people might not know is just a way of writing down guitar music that doesn't involve proper music. And you can go on the internet, you can search for guitar tab for any number of songs that you like, but most of it will be completely inaccurate.
Yeah.
Like when I was. I used to buy not particularly because I loved people's music, but a Simon and Garfunkel songbook or a Neil Young songbook. Yeah. And they'd been transcribed by piano players. So
yes, exactly.
Well, no one plays a B flat on a guitar until they've learned how to play.
Unless it's a mistake.
Yeah, so they were playing with capos, but keyboard players don't understand the concept. So you've really got to get your ear tuned in, I think, and know enough. Able to work stuff out for yourself. But that's the good thing about playing the guitar. I think it's very you can start with
it's a forgiving instrument
and play hundreds of songs. It's a very democratic thing to learn. It's not like learning to play a trumpet, for example, where you've got to be able to read the dots or else you can't do much.
But the funny thing about tablature is the fact that the tablature actually predates what we consider to be normal music notation. It was used by lute players, yeah. But when you're saying about things being transcribed by piano players, I used to play with a big band, and there was one particular song, an arrangement of a song that the singer wanted to do, and the guy who did all the arrangements actually wrote all the parts out from a particular recording of this by a very fine guitar player called John Pizzarelli.
Oh, yeah.
and there was a guitar intro on it. But what he didn't realise is that Pitarelli plays a 7-string guitar.
Yeah, he does.
And unfortunately, it was not possible to play that on what I was playing. Yeah. So, what about song number 3 then? What have we got next?
Okay. I'm trying to remember what the other ones were.
We've got It's Called the Blues and Comes
right.
to Love.
Yeah, let's have It's Called the Blues, because this is a song. Anyone who is familiar with the work of an American songwriter guitarist called Chris Smither might recognize one of the chords I use. Again, I'm not going to lie, I stole it from him. But having said that, it's just a way of playing a C and an A minor chord close to each other. And so there's echoes in this song of a song of Chris Smither's called Train Home. But I called this song It's Called the Blues. It's not a blues song. Or in fact, there is a version of it on YouTube, and the person who put it up said called it a very English blues song, which rather pleased me, to be honest. But it's just, it's a story of love, how love goes wrong, and the effect it has on it. Quite a cynical song in a way. But this was a bit of a challenge to get the lyrics right because of the way. Well, first off, there's only so many words that rhyme with blues, and what I should have done was not put blues at the end of a line that required a rhyme for it. But, all the cliches are in there. Yeah. But I needed, in various places, I needed like a 2-syllable phrase or a 3-syllable phrase that would just fit in as the line ended. And I'm quite pleased with the way this song ended up in terms of its construction. And another thing I do in this, which is here's my top tip for guitar players who start writing songs. If you want to put an instrumental in the center in the middle of the song, maybe there's in this case there's a bridge and then there's an instrumental, and all I'm doing in the instrumental is playing the same chords as there are in the verse, but in a different position. I'm playing them higher up the neck, more or less. But it sounds different because the ears got used to hearing these chords played behind the words of the verse, and I'm really just playing it in a different place. Well, some people never go above the 3rd fret on a guitar, do they? But really, there's a whole world up there. You don't have to understand everything about it. You just have to understand that there's lots of different ways of playing a C chord, and they don't all involve all 6 strings. So once you get the shapes of certain chords, like we were saying before about a minor 9 chord or a major 7 chord, you can play them all over the place in a closed way where you're not using open strings. You can play them all over the place, and they just sound glorious. Played in different places. So this is quite a common feature. In fact, I did it on Take Me to the Doctor as well. Quite a common feature is you chuck in an instrumental verse, but it's not just playing through the chords the same way. It's the same chords in a different place, and it really kind of, I think, refreshes the ear a bit.
Yeah, definitely, and also the thing about, because you've got so many strings to play with, also the fact if you're using different voicings, then the notes in the chord are not necessarily in the same order as you play them in another position.
And it can sound totally different.
Yeah, if you've got the 7th on the bottom.
Yeah, or if a voicing has got 2/3 in it and rather than just one, it all makes the difference. Yeah. I mean, that's why key of C sounds sweeter than the key of E, because it's got 2/3 in it. Yeah. Rather than the key of E's only got the 1/3 when you're playing the root chord, at least. Sorry if anyone's not following this. but
okay, let's hear it.
To understand a little bit of the theory, at least.
Okay, before we baffle people. So this is it.
Call the cops, report a theft. This poor guy's got just one thing left to lose. It's called the blues. See him with his puzzled frown, like old Columbo shuffling round for clues. It's called the blues. Never knew what hit him when she hung him out to dry. Stole his heart and left him thinking, should he live or die? Survival means deciding that you'd rather laugh than cry, but which to choose? It's called the blues. love's a perfect tragedy, the inevitability's no news. It's called the blues. From Venus, Mars, or in between, all lovers with the human gene get bruised. It's called the blues. Experience should tell you that you always have to pay. Like an unexploded bomb, it's best to stay away. So why does it come pre-programmed into our DNA to light the fuse? It's called the blues. In the spring, a young man's fancy turned to thoughts of love. Never saw the iron fist hidden in that velvet glove.
I told you there was one of them that got dead suddenly.
All right.
Great. Nice tune. Nice tune.
You missed the best bit. But
I don't know what happened there. That's how it came to me.
well, that whole song is definitely, you can stream that on my website, and there's more than one video of that on YouTube as well.
Yeah, it's nice. So, when you finally come out of this enforced retirement, what's your plan? Yeah. You must have ideas leaping through your brain of what to do when you get out. Again.
Not really. Although I'm hoping that by the time I'm mobile again, the world will have opened up a bit more safely. You know, at the minute, I'm still pretty wary, as I know you are, of getting out and doing too much. But I'm hoping that the other side of Christmas, which I think is when I'll be getting to reasonable good fitness again, will have changed. And I've been playing more instrumental stuff during lockdown, going back to that, my first love, and enjoying doing that. And I've wondered about doing some more recording and maybe an instrumental, maybe like a 6-track. I don't know what you call it anymore, because no one's going to print hundreds of CDs anymore, are they?
Well, people still use the term EP, which I think is quite funny.
Well, yeah, I've made an EP and a full album on CD, and they're on Spotify and so on. But I think if I was doing another one, I'd print a few for promotional purposes and for reviews and stuff. But not many people, as you know, buy hard copy music anymore. So you've got to kind of think about how to do it. And one thing that I was just thinking about today, actually, because if I was to make another album, I know what it would be called, and I know what the opening track would be, and I'm not going to tell you what they are, because that's hostage to fortune, isn't it? But I was thinking today, I could make a really good video of this opening song. It wouldn't be a performance video; it would be an image-based video. And I've done that with a song that's on YouTube called "The Shortest Day." Yeah, where I put together lots of just basically still photographs that weren't exactly telling the story of the song, but kind of reflected the feeling of the song for me. And I really, really enjoyed doing that. That was a different angle on it. The music already existed, but I wanted to make something in a different format. And I quite like the idea of doing more videos. Probably not just straight performance videos, unless they were instrumental things, but image-based things. So might get into that. I think I will make more. I will record more. I've got plenty of songs to do another full album, but it's really what is its purpose? When in the days where you made a CD, you wanted people to buy it. Yeah. Well, do you want people to stream it on Spotify? I don't know.
Well, there's also with streaming, it lacks the completeness of a CD. Yeah, a CD is a product. It exists. You've got it. You've got the copy of it over there on the mantelpiece. It's that something that you've done it. It's there, and that it marks a point, doesn't it? Whereas streaming is what it says. It's a continuous process. It's not. There's no finite limit to it, is there?
No, what I liked about making the last CD, what I liked structuring it and sequencing the tracks.
Yes.
And coming
Absolutely.
up with the sleeve design and getting someone who knew what they were doing to turn my idea into a finished product. And, all that. And then getting it delivered. There it is in my hand. I made that. I can leave that for my kids when I'm gone. That was great. And I think we're missing that now. I was looking at Spotify today. I was just waiting for something, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll put that in my library. I'll put that in my library. And if I was buying a CD, I'd take it home and I'd listen to it, and then I'd listen to it again. I'd put it in the car. All I've done so far is shove stuff in the library, which I may never hear. It's just to remind me that at some point I'd quite like to listen to it. It changes the way you listen to music, I think.
Well,
just
strangely,
it from LPs.
There's a few weeks ago we were staying at Leslie's youngest son's house, and we were house sitting basically, and we switched the TV on, and there were so many remote controls I didn't know what I was pressing really. The air conditioning was coming on. Anyway, this thing finally came up on the screen, massive screen, and it gave us something like 2,500 titles of films we could watch. And Leslie said, what do you fancy? I said, I don't know. I can't deal with that much choice. So I actually, but it wasn't the inspiration to write a song which is called There's Just So Much. Because I think that it is an issue in terms of music, is that, as you say, you buy a CD, you take it home, you listen to it, and you listen to it in order as well. We get used to the order of it. If you hear a track on the radio from an album that there is a part of you that expects to hear the following track immediately after it. You're already cued into it. And I've asked a lot of people on this, did you ever use a shuffle button on a CD player? And I never did, because I would listen to the CD from start to finish.
Yeah, as the artist intended, yeah.
Exactly. Somebody slaved over that, debating what order, especially with vinyl. You've got two sides to decide.
Well, when I did my last CD, I envisaged it as two sides, as if I know where side one ended and side two started. Yeah, and I deliberately tried to sort of create that arc I was talking about. On both sides, because that was part of the pleasure, wasn't it? Sometimes
absolutely
on a particular album you might play side two followed by side one every time, because that's just how it worked for you. And also, I mean, I've still got all my vinyl albums, not that I play them anymore, but reading the lyrics on the back of a gatefold sleeve, it was brilliant. You can't read lyrics on CD covers because they're so tiny,
they're so small.
And it frustrates me on Spotify. You can't really get maybe you can. I've not worked out how to do it, but you can't, the information's not there that you really want. The credit, who produced it, who mixed it, when was it made, all this kind of stuff that you get typically from, from a sleeve, whether it's a sleeve,
particularly who played the guitar. That's what I'm looking for.
Most important. I'm always it's Steve Gadd on the drums. Yeah,
excellent.
All that kind of stuff.
It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. But we're gonna have to. But before we play your last track, do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Remind me which one it is.
I've forgotten.
I should know, shouldn't
Comes to Love.
Oh, When It Comes to Love, yeah.
Yeah, okay. When It Comes to Love. Go on, tell us a bit about this one.
This one, oddly enough, was vaguely inspired by a James Taylor song called Mean Old Man. It has no connection with Mean Old Man whatsoever, other than Mean Old Man is about a cynical guy who finds love. And really that's what this is about. But what I like about this song is it's a really good, fun piece to play on the guitar. It's relatively simple. It's got the Steely Dan chord in it. Watch for that.
Right, the Mew.
The Mew major, yeah. But it's simple. And I only realised after the event that it's got a kind of funk bass line in it as well on the chorus. So I kind of thought, I didn't realise when I was writing all these things that were part of it. But I like this song. It's a nice song to play. This is from Semitone again, isn't it? This.
I think so. Yes, it looks like it.
Yeah. So When It Comes to Love, it's a relatively straightforward song. Has a payoff, but not particularly surprising one, perhaps.
Excellent. All right, Richard. Thanks a lot, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. And once you're back playing and doing things, we shall get together and do a bit of playing.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah,
that'd be great.
All right. Well, thanks Richard. For having me. Thanks everyone for watching. Cheers.
Okay, we're going to play you out with this.
This is called When It Comes to Love. She said, explain, why must pleasure turn to pain? Just when my heart settles down, it's on the road again. Old cynic me, who gave up fishing in that sea, said dream of happy ever after. This is how the story ends. One day love and light and laughter, next you're crying to your friends. She says, tell me yes or no, will I ever feel that glow? Well, I can't tell you what I don't know when it comes to love. Real life's not some movie show, no loose ends tied up in a bow. It lifts you up and it lays you low when it comes to love. When it comes to love, that old cliche that says your prince will come someday, seems his horse got lame, there might just be a small delay. No fairy tale can overcome this small detail. Now we're in the real world, baby, this is how the story goes. Face the facts, cause they're just maybe poison thorns round every rose. She says, tell me yes or no, will I ever feel that glow? Well, I can't tell you what I don't know when it comes to love. Real life's not some movie show, no loose ends tied up in a bow. Lifts you up and it lays you low when it comes to love. When it comes to love, there's no use in you complaining. That's like shouting at the sky just because it looks like raining.
Excellent stuff. So, yeah, that's it. Some love. That man's got such a clean picking technique. It's amazing. As we've got a few people saying hello. Simon Field saying hello. Message from Hugh Blazer. Interesting chat, guys, and good to meet you, Richard. He said, there you go. Paul Openshaw just happened on this conversation. All the best, Richard. And a sign off from Kevin. Great interview. Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah, it's been good fun. And that's it from me for this week. Next week I've got Steve McGrady with me. In the meantime, I shall wish you well. And trying to think if I'm doing any gigs locally this week. Oh yeah, I'm playing on Thursday at down in Frodsham, a lunchtime gig at the Arts Centre, Castle Arts Centre there. And then Friday evening I shall be playing with my man Bo Lee at the James Watt in Cheadle. So if you're at a loose end, drop in and see us. In the meantime, look after yourselves, and I shall see you next week. Take care. Bye.